Welcome to the third installment of the series, The Return of the Wood. And after two rocky cinematic experiences, we are back with DS3 this time to, once again, conquer it with wood-only weapons. And just as in the previous games, without ever leveling up, being stuck at SL1. And this time, it's gonna be rough. Finally, for once, we start with a real SL1, as starting from DS3, the Deprived class starts officially at SL1, but this time at least, we're richer than in Dark Souls 2, we come already strapped up with the wood, and 10 in all stats, ready for some pain and suffering. The good news keep coming though, as with a good moveset, incredibly low stamina usage, the club is absolutely top tier. And to top it off, we get access to Warcry, a new mechanic from Dark Souls 3 which grants us a free 7% extra wood for our buck, as long as we use only light attacks, cause the heavy moveset is quite doo-doo, but who needs heavy anyway? We reach tutorial Goondyr here with a symbiote up his ass and beat him by using the patented DS2 strat of walking around the boss and dodging all his moves. Once we kill him, we go and meet your crush from high school that always gave you the cold shoulder, since we will never talk to her again. We then use the famous B&E tech of climbing up a tree to get to the roof and get some jewelry and some titanite by trading it for some useless non-wood based stuff. With the Firelink shrine done, we head out to Lothbrick Walls and run straight to Vought, where after breaking his jaws as he was trying to mouth breathe like your usual redditor, we can kill him and teleport to the Undead Favelas, where we can find some incredibly useful items. Some ashes, some flask upgrades, some more ashes, and a lift to head to Road of Sacrifices. Following the road, we arrive at the swamp where we grab a bonfire and a Viagra coated shield. Now, we are at a bit of a crossroads here. We can either head up into the cathedral or down into the swamp. And we begin with the swamp. I love poison after all. After a bit of waddling around, we can go up this ladder and grab the bonfire for the old wolf. Behind this hidden wall, we can find some more ashes, feeling like a crematorium's Dyson at this point, and going up this elevator, we can find some extra large titanite shards by killing some scarabs. We then head back to the elevator, climbing all the way back up where Onion Man and the demon are waiting for a fight, but we instead skip all that nonsense and instead continue going all the way up where we can grab the Flynn's ring for extra damage and some nakedness, and at the bottom of the tower we can also grab the Chloranthy ring for some extra stamina regen. With the ashes, some souls and a raw gem that we grabbed on the way, we can infuse our club with a raw infusion and upgrade to a +2. Using the upgraded wood, we can sprint it to the Crystal Sage, where after ODing on her crystals several times, we go watch some videos on how to figure out where she spawns, and Elizabeth's video here helps us finally understand where she reliably spawns, using the 3 crystal spawning rule, allowing us to defeat her even with very low damage. With her dead, we sprint to the Cathedral of the Deep, grab some more juice upgrade and head into the cathedral where the Lloyd's sword ring can be picked up for some almost permanent 10% extra damage, given our little health pool so far. And heading back into the chapel, we can talk to our boy Gael, who sends us into purgatory again. Remember last video's horse-infested blizzard? It seems like From Software has a hard-on for shitty and annoying to traverse frozen landscape, and the Painted World of AriandHell DLC is no exception to that. However, despite how infuriating this zone is, it is littered with goodies everywhere. We can grab some more large titanite shards here and head through the town into Newfound Hell. These barbarian fucks might be some of the most annoying enemies ever, but they do guard some precious materials, like notably some more large titanite shards and a chunk. Needing some more souls, we prove this wood who the superior one is and grab this soul transposition kiln that will prove to be useful later. With all these upgrade materials gathered, we can upgrade our raw club from +2 all the way to +7, and now, no, we aren't going back to the poison swamp. Instead, we go back to Vought, and you guessed it, we have to do an early dancer. And as you can guess, an early dancer, no matter the run, is rough. But at SL1, with a club only, it's even worse than you can imagine. It took a while, but it didn't seem as doomed as you'd think. There are a few redeeming things for us here. The first one being, we have Warcry to boost our damage even higher, and it being a percent-based increase with our weapon at +7, our damage is not looking too bad. On top of all that, the club staggers her every 6 hits, and playing around that, as well as her phase transition, we can get a lot of free damage onto her before she finishes reaching phase 2. All we need is to get good enough at dodging some of her combos from her second phase, and while that took me quite a few tries, she wasn't as bad as originally planned, and another woman fell to my rock hard wood.
How about 8 inches and thick?
Her death opens up possibly the most important zone this early in the game, the Lothric Castle. Here, we can find Titanite chunks everywhere, and something else that is game-changing, the Knight's Ring. That ring gives us an additional +5 strength, which means, you guessed it, now we are strong enough to lift other weapons. Notably, by going back to the fire demon, behind him we can find the large club, and using all the materials from Lothric Castle, we can upgrade it to +8, and using the heavy gem from this guy, we can infuse it into heavy, as it has slightly higher AR than the raw one. A huge wooden toe, we use it to slap some sense into these Artorias cosplayers, where our damage is more than enough, and go through the catacombs to fix this guy's drip. 3 bracelets? What are you, an emo teenager? With Vol near dead, we now have access to 2 paths, but one of them is blocked by a fog, so we head back into the cathedral, beat up some priests, grab a doll, and finally reach Irithel. Speeding through this zone, we can head into the dungeons, grab the bonfire, and we book it to Yhorm, where we can't use the Storm Ruler, but it can't be that bad, right?
Crippling depression.
It was that bad. For now, let's put a pin in that fight and come back to him later. We need stats at this point. Any stats. But stamina more than anything, as we're feeling more asthmatic than Sebastian in Evil Within. And there is one ring that could help us with that. Now, there is some good news and some bad news. Good news, we can go grab the ring right now. Bad news, we have to kill Oceiros and champion Goondyr for it. This lizard, wrapped in testicle skin, is one of the most unpolished bosses I have ever seen, making me think they forgot to finish him before releasing the game. Phase 1 went really well, every time, but Phase 2. Phase 2 was so astro-ass. He runs around everywhere like a kid on PCP, and this one attack, you know, the fucking dash, has so few frames to react to, and insta-kills me every time. It made me drink a new beverage IRL. I legitimately, for the first time in these challenges, had no idea how to approach this fight. Every time I hit Phase 2, I would just insta-die to something I didn't see. There was one positive to all this though. If I was embered up, the extra HP allowed me to tank exactly 1 extra hit on what seems like 1 HP. But embers are rare and there is a limited amount in the game. Plus, I had already used up quite a few up until that point to pass the Densa. So what do? Well, it's time to go farming, so we'll need some farming tools. First, we need that kiln from earlier to transpose the soul of the Crystal Sage into this rapier. Then we can grab a Symbol of Avarice from any mimic in the game by simply spamming Hunter's Talisman on it. And finally, by grabbing a covetous gold ring from Profane Capital, we can rack up a total of 310 item discovery. Now that we got the tools, we can start farming these lads here for a 10% chance to drop an ember. With all those embers stockpiled now, we can go back to our regularly scheduled beating up of bosses and figure out our strat. So we go back to the small wood to better fit our abysmal stamina, and eventually, after a while, I finally find a way to deal with him. It's clinging to his hind legs like a dog in heat. While doing that, we can keep whittling him down, making sure we can always dodge his tail swipe, and being armored up, we can always tank 1 charge attack if all else fails. Also to note that we can flinch him every few hits, so every time we feel in danger, we can greet another hit, and with a bit of grit, the nutsack falls to the ground. Now remember when I complained about Oceiros being unfinished? Yeah, well, I found his twin brother, Champion Goondyr. Holy shit, this guy is full of punishes. Anytime you do anything, his kick comes straight up your stomach to teach you how to fix your posture. The technique from the tutorial of walking around him doesn't work as well anymore, certainly not in Phase 2. This fight took a while to be solved. The first phase wasn't hard. He would always open up with this slam attack, which we could punish with 2 R1s, and a bit of dodging around him allowed us to consistently break his poise and deal massive damage before he transitions into Phase 2. But Phase 2 was so ass. Again, the spear attack would always somehow tag me, at least once somewhere during that attack. It was so obnoxious, it felt like at least some part of the spear would hit me, and that's not to say when he did it in melee range. I had to remove my lock-on to better move around his ass and learn every one of his moves, especially the kick. Dodging that attack is essential to win this fight. It took really long. This fight at SL1 with only a club was one of the hardest fights I've had to do. Eventually, I started wearing some armor and a Lloyd's shield ring to be able to at least tank 1 hit. This is one of those fights where there is no strat at SL1. It requires a legitimate get good mentality of running into the fight, learning every one of his attack patterns and getting hits in anywhere you can. And I did just that for possibly 6 hours of my life. 6 hours that I will never ever get back, by the way. That being said, I get lucky eventually, and he finally dies. Never been so relieved of beating a 6'4" dude in my life. With his soul though, we can finally get possibly the best ring in the entire game for this challenge. The Prisoner's Chain, increasing our survival stats and our stamina by a whopping 5 points. This ring is absolutely insane, and the counterpart of taking -4 to the absorption for wearing it is absolutely negligible for the stats that we gain. With it equipped and embered up, our health bar looks almost normal. Almost. With this ring obtained, we can use the dragon emote from the Nutsack Lord in the dungeons to teleport to the Dragon Mountains, where, trying to look cool for the video, I tried doing a skip on this boss. But see, I forgot something important. I suck dick at video games. I failed the skips so many times, and the worst part is, it was all my fault. And the funny thing is, had I done it the normal way, it would have taken like 5 minutes, but since I'm stubborn, I kept on doing it, and when I did finally succeed, I did it in a way that's not even intended, as I didn't have enough height and with the wrong attack, but it still worked, all planned I guess. Reaching the second part of Archdragon Peak, we can grab these ashes here that allow us to buy Titanite chunks from the Shrine Handmaiden. Those chunks allow us to put all our weapons to +9. All we need is some slabs. And lucky for us, one of them is right here next to Havel, which we don't even need to kill as it turns out. With it, we upgrade the Smallwood first. The next few bosses will definitely need it. And now we can go back to Yhorm. See, the issue with him is he takes no damage, right? But there is quite a few redeeming things about this fight. To begin with, his moveset is awful, so he's pretty easy to dodge. And along with that bad moveset, he takes decent poise damage and some extra damage and some extra poise if you hit his head. And while the small club might not be able to do it, the large club can hit the head if you dunk on him after his cleaver attack. With 3 to 4 head hits, he's open for a riposte that does absurd damage. And so after about 10 minutes of fighting him, 1 episode of From, 1 more riposte is all it takes to take down Yhorm the Giant as well. 2 Lords of Cinder dead. Easier than I thought. Now we can start dealing with Pwntiff Sullivan. This is once again just a hard fight where I have to get good, but compared to Goondyr, there are at least still some strats that you can use. The first one, stay by the small blue blade. The fire blade comes out faster, has higher range, and can combo you much more easily. The blue one is much worse at tracking you. And second, baiting the attack opens him up for a free hit, and maybe a second if you're lucky. And finally, the club poise breaks him quite often, allowing for some extra damage very safely. His second phase transition allows us to rack up even more damage, and so, after just a few tries, we can even BM his ass as he summons his clone with 1 HP in melee range of us. And we kill him, opening up the way to Aldrich, Devourer of Gods, who isn't that interesting, mostly running around the arena, catching up to him, beating his bush with our large wood, rinse and repeat until he dies. 3 lords dead. Now all we have left is the castle, and guarding it is FPS killer himself, Dragon Slayer Armor, which for some reason made me play with huge FPS drops for more than half the fight. That being said, for some reason I struggled with dodging his axe attack, I kept getting hit by it, and I found a strat. It's called How About I Stop Being Bad. Once I applied this strat, along with some decent tankiness, the armor goes down and frees up the path for the Twincest Princes. Now, Lorien, he's fairly simple. He has nice, big, telegraphed attacks, and the only surprise you get is the "it's not personal, kid" TPs before smacking you in the back. But added to that, his mini-me shooting magic while he's doing that, and it's a whole new can of worms. The other problem is that only the HP bar of the little brother matters, and with our small wood, the only way to be able to smack him is by hitting backshots on both of them. Also, healing it to the Rock and Kevin Hart here is really hard, as they just snipe you with their stupid magic. And with all that being said, they aren't that hard though, so after using our wood, the back of the big brother caves in, and we take the opportunity to jump the little one before his brother recovers. With the princes done, we have all 4 crowns, which means we get to the Soul of Cinder. But I'm not done yet! We have some other stuff to do before that. See, up until now, you may have wondered, how come he didn't do Sister Friede yet? Where's Sister Friede? Did he forget about Sister Friede? As a matter of fact, no, I didn't. She just beat my ass so bad, so many times in a row, that I entered into a deep depression and felt like a gear upgrade was absolutely necessary to be able to defeat her. But I can hear you think, what is bro cooking? He already has a +10 weapon, what else is he gonna upgrade? His DNA? Well, to find out what the chef is cooking, let's head out to the Dreg Heaps, where we can firstly find the Ring of Favor +3, followed by the Chlorantry Ring +3, both of which become immediate staples for us. We then bash our head against the best duo boss fight in all of Souls, which is at best a reskin of Ornstein and Smo, at worst complete shite. In between the random delayed attacks, all that poison, their absurd resistances, making me hit like a sociology student at his first boxing match, and their spawn camping during your riposts, I straight up needed a nap after trying out this fight. It isn't a hard fight per se, but it felt so bad, especially since his phase 2 is so useless, having at best 3 different combo attacks to go through the slog that is phase 1. Anyways, a couple of hours of cock and balls torture, I killed him, and off to Ring City we go, also known as the best design zone in the entire game. Here, more goodies await us, notably, the cutest boy to ever live. This guy right here. Now, I'm slightly biased, I'll admit it, but Meteor is in my opinion, the only well-designed dragon fight out of all the Souls-like I've ever played. He might have incredibly high resistances, but this fight is a treat to do. As a matter of fact, just for this fight, I went on and busted out a secret weapon, using my discovery gear from earlier. I went on and beat this peasant right here until I got the wooden hammer, the last of the 3 usable wooden weapons for this challenge. Now, it's not a good weapon by any means, both the club and the large club outclass it entirely, but for Meteor, any weapon works. His design is just so peak. You can just perfectly dodge every one of his attacks, punish him whenever you get an opening, and repeat. His damage may seem extremely high, but for a straightforward boss like this, it's the only fair thing. And while our damage looks extremely low, it's not as bad since we consistently get windows to punish him, and within just a couple of minutes, he gets poise broken and riposted, and we, sadly, have to say our farewells to this beautiful, majestic fight. Now what won't be missed though, is this shit fight. Spear of the Church. The parrying katana spamming weeaboo cunt. I didn't die much to him, but getting parried once by him triggered me so hard, so now I'm slandering him. It's my video, I can do whatever I want, okay? With him dead though, it's finally time to go back to Sister Friede. We now have improved rings, improved armor, and even all my weapons at +10 using various slabs along the way. Farming some more embers in the castle for preparation, we are ready. And I won't lie to you, shit was rough. This fight is very hard. It was possibly the hardest fight in the whole game, possibly even the hardest in the trilogy so far. 3 phases, it is grueling. Any mistake, and she sends you back to watching this painting like that art girl you've been trying to romance for the last 2 months. The first phase isn't the hardest, as keeping a certain distance from her allows you to punish most moves with some well-placed R1s, and she dies quite fast all things considered. Phase 2 though is much more annoying, as the padre that was stuck in his cock chair is done watching and starts waddling around, launching fire and tenderizing you, even taking the chair with him. Between Valak's Frostbite and Big Daddy's Big Pot, windows for damage are scarce and punishment is immediate. It takes a lot of endurance where you just run around like a degenerate for 10 minutes to deal with it. Now, Phase 3 takes everything Friede has and puts it into overdrive. She's faster, has longer and harder reaching combos, and deals a lot more damage, even through all the tankiness we tried to get. I clearly wasn't familiar with her game, and she slaps and cooks me around like a fresh chicken breast. And just to reiterate, to even reach her 3rd phase, you had to do the whole phase 1 and 2 dances each damn time. And you'd get to phase 3, where she sticks a scythe up my ass immediately, and back to phase 1 you go. Eventually, I start finding a tactic. Given her speed and combos, there's only a few moments when you can sneak a hit in. Fortunately, being dressed like a nun, she has very little poise, and you can stagger her with your holy wood in the little openings she shows, allowing you to damage her bit by bit. You can also backstab her for free, and she can't counter it, but that's a woodless move. After hammering her for a while and sweating a lot because of a lot of close calls, she goes down. Finally, our wooden stick made her realize she was kneeling on the wrong wood this whole time. With the painting of AriandHell done, we can turn our attention to the Ring City DLC and Gael, its last boss. Ah, Gael, one of the most revered bosses in the entire game. Also one of, by far, the tankiest motherfuckers I have ever encountered. Can this dude at any point take any form of damage at all? This dude wasn't hard, he was just so damn tanky. Each attempt would take 10 minutes just to do damage. Eventually, I realized he's weak to poison. But when I say weak, I mean you have to slap his butt cheeks at least 10 times. And even then, the poison doesn't do that much. It is though still immensely helpful in reaching his 2nd phase, where after doing a bunch of cape attacks, some illegal hitbox shenanigans ensue, and with an extra poison appliance, he reaches phase 3, where it now becomes a full-on anime battle with lightning falling everywhere, and him still taking no damage. All in all, not as hard as you would think. Poison helps with the damage problem, and his moveset, while visually stunning, doesn't do that much. Now, it's time for the last boss of the base game. Nameless King is the bane of most Dark Souls 3 players, sporting some really annoying delayed attacks, a two-phase fight between a bird and an edgelord, and lots of spectacle. The bird had more developers working on his fine plumage than his visibility, but still, he is pretty easy. The king himself, though, would prove much harder. Except that not really. After having played Elden Ring for so long and flinching at every boss's attacks as they hold up their hand like they're about to give you the freshest dap ever, I felt very comfortable against him. He was quite comfy, kinda like coming home. Even as I died with him on a millimeter of health, I didn't really feel angry. I just went back in and finished the job. A lot of scare, not much harm. With all the DLCs done, all that's left for us to do is to engage remixed Gwyn, Soul of Cinder. He wasn't that bad. His moveset is varied, and he has a lot of different attacks in phase 1, but he doesn't do that much damage, and he's easily staggerable, allowing for free heals or attacks. That's until you arrive to phase 2, where he pulls out the greatsword and cordially informs you that he's stolen Manus's combo, and he's ready to bat you off to join the one place capitalism hasn't corrupted yet. Space! In phase 2, he's much more aggressive, and has access to miracles, which actually are his weakness. If you keep your distance, you both dodge the Manus combo and get free punishes when he casts. And with that tactic, he falls after a few tries. And with that, we finished the Dark Souls trilogy using only our wood without ever leveling up. This run in particular was super long, clocking in at around 46 hours, with decent grinding and some of the hardest bosses in the entire franchise, with some clearly unfinished bosses. But still, some very enjoyable and engaging combat, especially compared to the previous iteration that was just very bland. That being said, this game was a bit linear, without many strategies to explore, strategies that will come up next week in the finale of the Wood quadrilogy, The Wood Awakens. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, drop a subscribe to see more, and we'll see you guys next week. See ya, everyone.